Schedule builders, the purpose of this video is to show you how to deal with schedule preferences for individual students on both the live side of PowerSchool and in PowerScheduler. We will also show you something to be wary of if you're working in both. If you're looking on the live side for students and then moving over to PowerScheduler after you find them, I'll show you an issue that can arise. So first of all, this is regular PowerSchool, but we are using 12 fake students that are used in testing our enrollment process, so they're fake people. And we're going to use them, so we're obviously not releasing any student information. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, when you want to work with a student from the live side, you would just look their name up, last comma first, at whatever school they're located at. So if I'm working with a student at Heritage Middle School who's going to go to North, you'd have to be at Heritage Middle School on the live side to find that student. You find them. I have to do a / to find my students because they're inactive, fake students. You just look them up like you'd look up a normal student. I'm going to click on the first student, and that's going to take us, to whatever screen I looked at last. But the screen you're looking for if you want to work on scheduling preferences is we scroll down into this scheduling area, and we're looking for scheduling setup. We click on that. That's the page I was at last. This is not my first take of this video. But what we can see is this is the current student, right? This is their name and their SRC test and their number 4, so that's unfortunate that it's a number. They're in the 10th grade. This is their student number, internal ID. They're currently at Liberty North High School, and this tells you their status as a transferred out student. You can still schedule students who are transferred out. A lot of times it's more like they're pre-registered, right? They've enrolled for next year. They're inactive, but you need to work with them. So if they're a 10th grader now, next year grade, we're going to make them an 11th grader. Okay. Again, if a new enrollee gets enrolled, you'll have to set that. We mass set them all to roll up one grade level. If you're going to retain a student, right? So you have a senior, let's say SRC test 4 was a 12th grader who you determined is not going to graduate. Well, the next year grade for seniors who are graduating is grade 99, and they're set to go to the graduated school. If you're going to retain a senior, you have to change this 99 that would be here back to a 12 and back to your school. So that's where you set their next grade level. Priority, if you're working on setting priorities for students, it's like which students get first crack at a class if there's multiple students and the class is filling up. Seniors tend to have the higher priority. And by higher, it's a lower number. It's always fun when numbers work that way. So a priority of 10 is better than a priority of 20, is better than a priority of 30. You can set that based on whatever pattern you use for your school. There is a way to set that automatically for everybody in a grade level. I'll show you that in another video. But if you're working with an individual student, you can set that right there. You want this box, schedule this student checked. If that's not checked, it's not going to schedule the student. So you want to make sure that's checked. Year of graduation, you can ignore. There's a way to set that in the mass settings process. It's not really used for anything. You get a warning for it in the validations area, but ignore it. You don't really have to set it. This is a tricky one. LPS, static class rank. Don't touch those. If it's a senior, don't touch those boxes. That is actually where we put the student's class rank for the transcript. Okay, so these are our fields we use solely for class ranking. Leave those alone. And you're going to notice an interesting thing here. We are at Liberty North High School, but this student's next school indicator is Liberty High. This would be an example of a student who's either in a special program or is a voluntary transfer student at North who we mass set their indicator to be their home school, which in this case is Liberty High. If it's a student in a special program, you can go ahead and change this to be back to Liberty North if the expectation is they're going to be back for that special program. If they are, however, a voluntary transfer student, you don't make that change until the paperwork is approved by Student Services to reapprove them to attend your school. This is important because we're going to look, and we're going to remember SRC Test 4, remember that student when we look later. Any changes you make in here, let's say we did want to change this student, they weren't a voluntary transfer, you just click here, change them to North, and hit Submit. I'm not going to do that because I want to make a point with Liberty High Kid. Again, you change priority, whatever, you just hit Submit. That would save the changes. you would look up your next student, and it's just all that information is there. Okay, so that's on the live side. Now I'm going to show you what can happen. I've looked up all my fake SRC students on the live side. Now, I'm not looking at a current student. I'm just going to go to PowerScheduler. And then I'm going to find under Resources, I want to work with students. So I'm going to click on Students. And here's where we're going to see an issue. When you have a selection and group of students that you have found on the live side, and then you go to PowerScheduler, you're going to see whoever your selection of students was on the live side. Notice SRC test student number 4. We are at the Liberty North High School PowerScheduler instance, and we know this student is set to go to Liberty High, but there they are nonetheless. If I click on that student, I can see here that their preferences are Liberty High, but if I don't catch that, and I go to Requests, I can start adding requests for this student, and they will be requests at Liberty North, even though I'm supposed to be at Liberty High as SRC test student number 4. That is one way you get requests at the wrong building for a student, so you want to watch that. I'll show you there's a function that allows you to search for those. If instead I go to PowerScheduler and Students, and I do my search for SRC, who are the kids who are set to come to me, you can see the first student is SRC 5. So when I click on the first kid in that list, now I don't see SRC test student number 4. So it's better to do your search in PowerScheduler if you're doing the work in PowerScheduler. Okay, and then after that in Preferences, same. It's next year grade, priority, schedule the student, year of graduation, you don't have to worry about in the next school indicator. It's nicer to do it in here a little bit in that you can't mess up for a senior that transcript information on their class rank because it's not on this screen. But that is how, and then any changes you make, you would just come down here and hit Submit. That is how you deal with student preferences at an individual level in PowerScheduler and on the live side.